Thank you everybody for joining us today. So this is part 3 of our incident management training series. Steve is going to start us off by covering enterprise reports and discipline letters, and then I'll wrap up by covering the all incidents dashboard.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Steve Williams. I pretty much manage the reports on the course side. So what I'm going to do is show you some options to display your incident data and your reporting. So now that we have our incident management all set up, our incident templates created, and have entered and saved some actual incident data, we want to display those reports. So the first thing I want to show you is a new enterprise report that was created by Jason Springle, and it was pushed out when the new incident management became available to everyone. So if we navigate to that by clicking data and reporting, then reports, enterprise reports, you will see under the discipline and incidents, the new report is called Incident and Details. You should have this in your own system, but if you're following along here, that's fine. So if you read the description, it provides data on student incident data, which is the incident management. So we run it by clicking on it. Once it renders, the first thing I want to point out is the start and end date at the top. So presently, we are fielding between August 3rd and August 11th of this year. And this is that district. So all district incidents for the whole district between those dates are going to populate. You can change the date to...
Hey, Steve.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. Somebody said that they can't see your screen and wanted to know if you would go back so she could write it down.
I could do that. All right. So let me close this. Let me go back to the start page. All right, from the start page at district, you can actually run the enterprise report from the building, but it's only going to filter on that building district reports. So if we go to the district, we'll collect all of them. All right, so you select data and reporting, reports, and then your enterprise reports. And then you will see the report under here. Now, if you're in your own system and you get an error saying you don't see any enterprise reports, then that's under your staff account. You have to give yourself permission to view the enterprise reports. Am I saying that right, Margie? I want to make sure I'm right on that.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is the primary report view, and it shows all the columns that have been selected, and I'll get to that in a second, of all the data that was entered into your individual incident details when you submit the data. So, and if you look at the first column here, the incident ID, everything is linked to an incident ID. If we click on it, the blue link, it actually brings up the incident detail. When you first entered it, it has an incident date and time, and then the school that it happened to, the type, the blah, 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 all the way down. So, okay, so that just brings us, if we go back then to the enterprise report, if we click on the primary report drop down, you're going to see several reports that have already been filtered and saved for you to view. So like we click on one, this is behavior and action dates details. So the report is grouping everything by the action date details. Another one would be grouped by behavior and object details. Again, everything is, it's basically filtered on what you want to do. And there are charts here as well. If you click on like an incident action, you can see this is a good tool for you to monitor across your district or a building to see what's going on throughout the year as far as your incidents. I kind of like it. So if we go back to the primary report, and if we click under the actions drop down, the first thing we want to select is select columns. So everything that you see displayed in the report presently is listed here on the right. And everything here on the left is still available to you to add to your report display if you want. And if you don't want something on your report, you just click on it and hit the left arrow and it takes it off the page, and vice versa. If you want to add something, you just click it and then hit the right arrow and it'll be added to the report display. Okay. This is good for you if you want to filter on a report that only you want to see. You can select your columns and save it. So we can do that by, once we hit apply, then you can hit save report. You can give your report a name and a description of what it's supposed to be pulling. Now, if you don't want anyone else to run it, don't click the public. Otherwise, only you can see it when you come here. If you hit public, anybody can hit the private or the primary report drop down and see your save report in the list. Okay. So that's the enterprise report. Okay. So let's go back to the start page. And I know that everyone's pretty much been accustomed to using the object reports and the log entries. That data resides in a log table, but incident management will not work on object reports. It just doesn't have the ability to pull that log data or the incident data into the object report using data access tags. So what PowerSchool has done is to create a system report template that allows you the ability to select which letter you want to run given any available letter that you have built or created at the building level. So what we're going to do is first is look at how we create a letter. So we're going to navigate to district management. And then, hold on, I'll make sure I get this right. Oh, I'm going to go district management, behavior, discipline incident letters at the top. What you see here would be a list of all the letters that you have created. If you're blank, that's fine. You can create them. They're pretty simple to create. We only have one here in train 3 for our purposes of training. So if we click on it, what you see is when you create a new, you can add a title to your letter. And then you're going to select which school or multiple schools by hitting control and selecting multiple schools that you want the letter available to. Keep in mind that because data access tags don't work, the signature data down here or any specific school related data that you put in the text fields aren't going to apply. So if you're going to have a letter for multiple buildings, make sure that it is a district letter. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you're going to have to create a separate letter per building with the specific building info entered into the text. So then you have the incident type that you select, you have your options, and then your action code if available or applicable, and then any subcode. Now, there are 3 smart pronoun tags, if you can see right here, that can be inserted into your text, like the he, she tag is in there. You can put the student's first name, but I had problems getting that to populate. So I just went with your student instead of student name. So once we have the letter built the way we want it, we hit submit, and then that letter, if you have selected your building, will be available to run at your particular building. Okay. Are there any questions on creating a letter before I move on? Okay. So if not, what we're going to do now is find a kid and actually run a letter. So let's go back to the start page.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I was trying to get my mic unmuted. So what you're saying is when you create that letter, I can't create a signature that would populate with each building's principal in there if I use a tag.
39 school and 39 principal will not apply in, if you understand the coding, it will not apply in that incident letter. What you're going to have to do is recreate a letter for the high school, a letter for the middle school with particular signature staff data at the bottom.
Okay.
But once you get your text field set, it's easy just to copy and paste. You can open up a separate tab or a split view or whatever and just copy and drag it in there and just change your footer and save that letter as, you know, middle school suspension, high school suspension, or what have you, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to search for all incidents by selecting at the start page in district again, people, come on. And under student information, we're going to select all incidents. Now this is going to bring up all the incidents data that has been entered district-wide. Okay. You see the school, Apple Grove, and then Thompson, Franklin. So again, these are all grouped by the incident ID. So if we click like on this one, 1815, it brings up that incident detail. Olivia and Amy were apparently bad and they were fighting in a hallway outside room 212. It brings up the incident details of the student fight, the title, the incident date. That's important to know, 8/7/2026, the type, the school. We go down here and hit next. It brings up the more detail about the offenders and the victim. Again, next, you've all been through this in your setup training. It just has a review. So if we close this, it's going to take us back to our incident page. So now what we're going to do is run a letter, right? So to do that, we need to go to the building to run that letter. So I know that that Amy girl was in Apple Grove High School. So we're going to switch to Apple Grove High School. And you again can search here for all incidents, but I know the kid. So I'm just going to type in her student number. She is Olivia. So this takes us to the incident that she was involved in, that student fight, okay? Now to run it, we're going to go back to the start page and we're going to go to our system reports again, data and reporting, reports, system reports. And if you scroll down a bit under the incident or the discipline section, you'll see the discipline incident letters. If we click on that, this brings up the PowerSchool template I referred to. This template, it has the report information that would be scrolled down. This is where you have your parameters to select what and where and why and who, whatever. So we have the one selected student. The incident start and end date was August 7th. So we're going to plug that in there. Keep in mind, the one incident date occurred. Selecting multiple incidents, you enter a date range. If you want to check on all incidents for this girl, maybe she had multiple over a span of a week, so you would change the end date. And note that these dates are for incidents and not the action dates. Action meaning if she's suspended for 3 days, the start and stop date of that actual suspension would go there, but this isn't that. This is the action date. This is when it occurred. And the letter you to run, we obviously only have the one suspension letter that we created. You may have multiple letters once you create these letters per building, the option to run now. So we're going to leave it there. Now you have the option to select what do you want to see out of your incident detail on the letter. You know, you have include all actions, yeah, and the school header, the behavior subcode, all the way down to the policy description. So we're just going to leave everything defaulted and then hit submit. And this is going to take us to our system report queue. And you know how these are fun that you got to hit refresh a couple times. I'm not going to do that, but I have one saved that I ran a couple weeks ago. So when it completes, you open it, you save it to a location, and then open the PDF. This is what the letter looks like. It's a basic template. You have your school information in the header. You have your student information there with the parent guardian. You have your opening paragraph text. You have your closing paragraph text down here, and then the footer with the principal and name. And then this middle section is the chart of the incident detail. Okay. Even though there's nothing in these columns, those were selected to display. If there's nothing there, that means that nothing was entered in the incident detail. Okay. So that is basically the letter and the reporting that we had available at this time. Now, I do want to say that as a meta team, we're wanting to recreate the incident management into a data set that we could populate into our custom report builder, so that if we can get that functioning by, I would say, mid-school year, we want the ability to be able to recreate your object reports, pulling the incident management data into those so that it's more functionable for you to use. But again, that's a to-do list, and hopefully we can get it done by the mid to late school year. So, and again, if you need help or assistance in setting up letters or questions about the enterprise report, you can always submit an email to ps.support@metasolutions.net, and we'll work with you one-on-one to get your questions or your problems resolved. So nobody has any question. That's all I had. And I'm going to hand it back to Stephanie, and she's going to walk you through the all incident dashboard. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. All right, so next we will take a look at the all incidents dashboard. This provides a quick overview of all incidents as well as the option to create an incident. So we'll navigate to people, students, and then it's all incidents under the student administration column or section. One thing to note with the dashboard, this can be accessed at both the school and the district level. Today I'm at the district office, just so that way you can see how it looks with multiple schools. You can see there's a column here. So I'm at the district, but I can see incidents at 3 of these high schools down here. So we have 3 main sections on the dashboard. Here, this top section, we have interactive items that allow us to change the time frame here, as well as the incident elements that we're reviewing. In the middle, we have this filter option, and then down below we have our list of incidents. Because I haven't made any adjustments at the top, right now we are seeing the full list of all incidents that have taken place during our selected time frame, which right now is current school year, which began on August 3rd. So taking a closer look at each of these sections, we'll start here at the top right with this date range option. So you'll see if we open this, you can choose from a preset list of different date ranges. It defaults to current school year. One thing that you might not expect it to work this way, but that we noticed is when you have current school year selected, if your school year has not started yet, then it may look a little strange there. You might see the start date as the August start date from last school year, but it keeps the current school year running until the next school year starts. So if school starts on August 13th for you, current school year would show last August through today, but then once August 13th hits, then that would display as expected. So I just wanted to point that out because it's a little unexpected how that works.
Stephanie, we have a question.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any means of adding additional fields to the incident results? At our high school, our buildings are in units, and without the ability to filter to the unit, which is designated by students' homeroom, they would have to weed through every incident at the high school to find their students.
So on the dashboard, unfortunately, these are the only columns that are available, but you are able to make a selection of students, which I'll touch on that later. So maybe they could select that group of students in that unit, and then they could come back to the dashboard and filter, so they would only see incidents for students in that selection. Maybe that would be helpful. They can also navigate individually to a student and then view a list of incidents for only that student. Okay. Cool. So on our dates, again, we have some other preset ranges here. So if we pick one of those, it will just automatically change the dates and information for us. You can also select date range. So if you want to enter a custom range here, maybe you just want to look, since January, like the second semester, you might set those dates here. And then you do have the ability as well to select specific date, and you can just choose one date to see all incidents that occurred on that day. I'll go ahead and change this back to current school year just so we have more data displaying. But then in this top section, you also have this incident element here. So right now we are looking at actions. So we have these interactive tiles here. And these will automatically adjust to display only the actions which have been used within your selected time frame. So you can see if I switch to prior school year, it changes what we're seeing there. And then if we click on one of these tiles, it will filter the list of incidents down below accordingly. So if we wanted to only see detentions, we could click on this tile here, and then we can see that it filtered that list of 14 down to just the 4 detentions. And then at any time to see the full list again, you would just click that tile again, and it will display, it'll clear that filter essentially, so you can see all of the incidents. On the incident element dropdown, we have several other options here. So if we select behavior as our incident element, again, we'll see a tile for each behavior that has been associated with an incident during our selected time frame. A nice feature of the dashboard is that each user can customize each of these incident elements to display only certain tiles. So to do that, you would just click this little settings gear here while you are on the desired element that you want to adjust. So because I have not made any customizations to this, they all say hide. So it will just display, only those behaviors that have been associated with an incident for this school year. But maybe you want to, take a look at something specific. So you do have those enterprise reports for detailed reporting, but this could be kind of like a quick report tool or a quick overview, essentially. So, maybe you just want to look at behaviors that involve substances. So we could, from our drop down here, we could pick alcohol, drugs, and then maybe possession of tobacco products. Of course, there are some others there, but just to give you a quick example, so you can set these as desired and then click save, and then it will refresh. So now you can see that it's only displaying the behaviors that we specifically wanted to take a look at in the counts there. And then at any time, if you want those to just go back to the defaults, then you can go back to that settings gear, click this little drop down next to save, and then reset default, and it will go back to automatically displaying those which have been associated with an incident during your selected time frame. You also have incident type here. So this will, show if you have discipline entries, if you are using incidents for something else, like just for an example, counselor logs, that could display here, teacher referral. So this would be a good way for administrators to see, that they have outstanding teacher referrals that need to be reviewed. So they could click on that and then narrow down the list of incidents to those which are marked as referred and see if those need to be changed over to incidents. Here. So moving on to this filter here in the middle section, actually right above that, you can see it has that create incident button. So if you're on the dashboard, you can go ahead and create an incident directly from here. I just wanted to point that out. But the filter section, you can see there are quite a few fields here in this drop down that you can use to filter your list. So again, we're at the district office. Maybe we want to take a closer look by school. So we could choose school as our field. You'll see because we picked a field, then it automatically is populating the available options for that field. So we'll pick Apple Grove High School, and then you would just click apply. And you'll see we went from 15 incidents down to 11. So it's only now displaying those incidents which have occurred at Apple Grove High School. You can add multiple filters. So if we click this plus button on the right, maybe we want to see only the fights that have occurred at Apple Grove High School. So we can choose behavior as our field, and then we'll select fighting. And then we'll just click apply again. So now of those 11 incidents that have occurred at Apple Grove High School, 2 of those, the behavior was fighting. So just a way to quickly kind of narrow down your list and review those. And then once you've used a filter at any time, if you want to go back to that full list again, you can just click clear here and it will clear out all of those filters. As I mentioned, most of these fields, when you select them, you'll automatically see options populate here in the second drop down. So grade level. But these participant fields, they don't populate. I think we had mentioned in one of our previous trainings, we were trying to use this to filter the list for a particular student. And it might work if you don't have a ton of students, but in my testing, I had some trouble, like the student that Steve mentioned, Olivia. So if I searched for Olivia as a participant, it came up. I could click on this incident and we can see that Olivia was involved here. But if I try to add her last name, it's not pulling. It will pull if I do last name only. So again, if you only have a few incidents, you might be able to kind of narrow down your list that way. But once that list gets pretty long, if you're wanting to see records for a specific student, it would probably be best just to go to that student's record. Because with the last name, if the student has siblings or even just other students with that same last name, we wouldn't be getting a true filter for only one student using this option. Again, then we can just clear that when we're done and we can see all of the incidents again. Are there any questions on the filters? Okay, so scrolling down here to the incident list, we can see our different column headers here. These are clickable, so you can sort by any column. It might be helpful to sort by observation status. You can see we have a couple teacher referrals here. But if we sort by that, there are actually 3. So there was one on that second page. Again, that might be a quick way for those individuals who handle discipline to sort the list just to make sure that there aren't any outstanding teacher referrals that need attention. You can also click on either the incident ID or the title Either way, that will open up the associated incident. So those are both hyperlinks. And then you also have the option to make a selection of students. So maybe we want to see which students have been a victim in any of the incidents that have occurred. So you could select individual incidents, or in this case, I'll just click this box in the header row. So it will select all of our incidents. And then if we scroll down a little bit further at the very bottom, when we are making a selection, we also need to choose, are we wanting students who had any role in the incident, or we can refine that, do we only want offenders, reporters, victims, witnesses, or kind of a combination of those. So in this case, we just wanted to take a look at students who had been victims in any of these incidents. So we'll check the victim box there and then set current selection. Okay, so it didn't really look like it did anything, but if you scroll back to the top of the page, you can see that it says student selection was set and that you need to refresh to be able to see that selection. So if we give this page a refresh, now in the filter section, we have the option to select, only, so in of those 15 incidents, there were 2 students who had been marked as a victim in one or more of those incidents. So you can now click that box there, use your current selection and apply. So we had 2 victims and then they were involved in 3 total incidents. So lots of different ways you can use that. Those of you who are on the front lines of handling discipline and reporting can probably think of quite a few good uses for that. I just wanted to point out how that works. You can, of course, also, if we go back to our start page, you can start with a student selection. So if we clear out those students from our previous selection, maybe we just want to look at 9th grade students. So we'll make them our selection and then we'll go back to the dashboard. And again, because we made a selection, we have this filter option here. And it automatically, because we started with the selection, it already updated our list of incidents. So we can see that for the 8th grade, we have 4 incidents that have occurred again during the current school year. And then also on this page, you have the option to download the records that you're viewing. So you can select which format you want to download that. One thing to note, when you download, you are getting the information that is displayed here. So if you're just wanting like a quick list, quick overview, that might be helpful. But if you're wanting more details about each of these incidents, then it would be more helpful to use one of those enterprise reports to take a look at that. Thanks everyone again for taking time out of your super busy schedules. We know this time of year gets pretty crazy, so we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us.